Let me tell you something that changed how I see every hug I give. A hug is never just a hug. When a woman wraps her arms around you, there's an entire conversation happening that most men completely miss. You feel the contact. Maybe you notice if it's quick or lingering and then it's over, but here's what you don't realize. The real information isn't in the hug itself. It's in everything surrounding it. The moment before, the breath after, the strange things she says when she pulls away. These surrounding details are where emotional intent often hides, and they carry meaning that goes far beyond surface-level touch. I've been that woman. I've hugged men I couldn't stop thinking about and watched them walk away clueless. And once you learn to read what's actually happening, you'll never experience a hug the same way again. Awareness changes perception, and perception changes how you respond to connection. 1. She adjusts something on you right before the hug. You're standing there talking, and the hug is about to happen. You can both feel it coming, but right before she steps in, she does something small. She fixes your collar, brushes something off your shoulder, adjusts the way your jacket sits. Most guys register this as helpful, maybe even maternal. They think nothing of it. But here's what's actually happening. She's creating a reason to touch you before the hug begins. She's warming up the contact so the embrace doesn't feel like a sudden leap. It's her way of saying, I want my hands on you and I need a safe way to start. This behavior often comes from anticipation and emotional buildup rather than impulse. If she reaches toward you with some tiny correction right before pulling you in, she's been thinking about this hug longer than you realize. She didn't just decide to embrace you, she's been building toward it, and that little adjustment was her running start. It reflects intention, comfort, and desire for closeness. 2. Her voice changes in the seconds after she lets go. This one is subtle and you have to pay attention to catch it. You hug, you separate, and then she speaks. But the voice that comes out isn't quite the same voice she was using before. It's softer, lower, slightly breathier, maybe a half-tone different in pitch. Most men hear her words and respond to the content. They miss the texture entirely. When a woman's voice shifts after physical contact with you, it's because her nervous system just responded to something. The hug affected her. Her body released something, and now her vocal cords are carrying the evidence. This response is involuntary and tied to emotional regulation. She might not even be aware it's happening. But if you listen, really listen to the quality of her voice in those first few seconds after she lets go, you'll hear whether that hug landed somewhere deeper than polite. A woman whose voice stays exactly the same was present for the hug. A woman whose voice changes was moved by it, and that difference tells you everything about what she's not saying out loud. 3. She creates a reason to hug you that didn't exist. You told her you got a small win at work, nothing major. Maybe a project finished or a minor promotion, and suddenly she's hugging you? You mentioned your favorite team won last night. Hug. You said your coffee order finally came out, right? She laughs and then hug. Here's what most men miss. The event didn't warrant that response. She knows it. You should know it too. When a woman manufactures a reason to embrace you, she's not celebrating the thing she's claiming to celebrate. She's using it as a doorway. The real desire was already there, sitting in her chest, waiting for any excuse to become action. Emotional motivation often looks for practical justification. She needed permission from herself, from the situation, to close the distance. So, she found it. If a woman hugs you for reasons that feel slightly disproportionate, she's not being dramatic. She's being strategic. And the strategy is get closer to you without having to explain why. If you're someone who actually pays attention to the details most guys miss, drop a where in the comments so I know who's really here to learn. Awareness is what separates surface interaction from genuine connection. 4. Her hands land in a very specific place on your back. Not all hand placements are equal. When a woman hugs you and her hands land high on your back near your shoulders, she's keeping things safe, controlled, friendly. But when her hands land lower, settling into the middle of your back or just beneath your shoulder blades, she's telling a different story. That placement means she's pulling you in, not just accepting the hug but anchoring it. She wants to feel your body against hers, and her hands are doing the work of making sure that happens. Body language often communicates intent more honestly than words. Pay attention to whether her palms are flat and relaxed or whether her fingers are pressing in slightly. Relaxed hands say, "This is nice." Pressing fingers say, "I don't want this to end." Most guys feel the hug as a single sensation, but her hands have their own language. And if they've landed somewhere intentional, somewhere that draws you closer, rather than just rests on you, she's already telling you what she wants. You just have to learn how to hear it. 5. She asks you a question immediately after pulling away. The hug ends. You step back, and before the silence can settle, she asks you something. It might be random. Are you hungry? Or what time is it? Or did you park far? The question itself almost doesn't matter. What matters is that she asked it at all. Most men answer the question and move on. They don't realize what just happened. She didn't want information. She wanted to extend the moment. The hug created a pocket of intimacy, and when it ended, she felt the rupture. The question is her bridge, her way of keeping you close for a few more seconds without being obvious about it. Emotional continuity matters more than conversation content. If a woman hugs you and then immediately gives you a reason to keep talking to her, she's not being conversational. She's being strategic. She felt something and she's not ready to let the moment dissolve. That question is her asking you to stay without asking you to stay. 6. The hug happens at a strange point in the conversation. You're mid-sentence, or she is. Maybe you just said something completely unrelated to anything emotional, and suddenly she's stepping toward you, arms open. The timing doesn't match. The conversation didn't build to this. There was no goodbye, no celebration, no obvious reason. And that's exactly the point. When a hug arrives at a strange moment, it's because she couldn't hold it back anymore. Something inside her reached a threshold, and she stopped waiting for the right time because she realized there wasn't going to be one. Emotional impulses override social scripts in moments of honesty. This is one of the clearest signs a hug means more than it appears. A socially appropriate hug comes at socially appropriate moments. A hug that interrupts the flow. That one came from somewhere. She wasn't planning to show you. If you find yourself thinking that was weird timing, don't dismiss it. That timing was the tell. 7. She turns her face toward your neck instead of away. During most hugs, faces turn outward. It's automatic. You embrace. Your cheeks might brush, and then both heads angle away from each other. Neutral, safe. But sometimes she doesn't turn away. She turns in, her face angles toward your neck. Maybe her nose brushes your collar. Maybe you feel her breath somewhere it doesn't usually land. Most men notice this as physical sensation and nothing more. But what's actually happening is significant. She's orienting toward you. She's choosing closeness when distance was available. Turning your face towards someone's neck during a hug is an act of trust and desire wrapped together. She's letting herself exist in your space. Breathe you in. Stay a half second longer in a position that says, I don't want the safe version of this. If her face turns toward you instead of away, she's already closer than you realized. 8. Her breathing rhythm matches yours during the embrace. This one requires stillness to notice, but once you feel it, you won't miss it again. You're holding each other, and somewhere in the middle of the hug, your breathing her inhale follows yours. Her exhale lands where yours does. You're suddenly breathing as one organism instead of two. This isn't something people do consciously, it's physiological. When a woman's nervous system feels safe and drawn toward you, her body starts mirroring yours automatically. Breath is one of the first things to sync. It's primal. If you're in a hug and you notice your rhythms have merged, slow down. Stay there a beat longer, because what's happening in that moment is her body saying yes to yours in a language older than words. Most men rush through hugs. They squeeze and release. But if you stay present enough to feel her breathing match yours, you've just been handed information she doesn't even know she's giving you. 9. She references the hug later without you mentioning it. Hours pass, maybe a day. You're texting or talking about something completely unrelated and she brings it up. That hug earlier was nice. Or she teases you about it. Or she references. It's sideways. You give good hugs, you know that. Here's what this means. She's been thinking about it. That hug didn't end when your arms dropped. It kept playing in her mind. She replayed it, analyzed it, felt it again, and now she's telling you without telling you that the moment stayed with her. Memory is emotional currency. Most men hear this and say thanks or make a joke. They don't realize what they're being handed when a woman brings up physical contact you shared without being prompt.